Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I got this awesome bio and from our guy here, and it starts out with something that will be news to all of you, which is Marc Abshire is the executive director of the Port Angeles Chamber of Commerce.
What?
Who knew? Okay. Okay, so Marc grew up in Port Townsend and attended the U.S. Air Force Academy on a nomination from Senator Scoop Jackson. After graduation from the academy, he later received a master's degree in English Lit from the University of Colorado at Boulder. His U.S. Air Force career included serving 4 years in Italy with NATO, and prior to that was the operations officer at the Air Force Western Launch Range in California. His last assignment was in the Pentagon in Washington, D.C. as the speechwriter to the Secretary of the Air Force. Marc retired as a lieutenant colonel from the Air Force in 2002 and then spent several years as a corporate communications executive with a variety of companies in the Washington, D.C. area. His position prior to moving back to the Olympic Peninsula in 2014 was Vice President of Communications for the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. The only thing I was wondering here was, when did you finish her as director?
2016.
Wow. Take it away, Marc.
That's actually part of the presentation.
Oh.
I'm going to talk about when I got here a little bit.
Oh,
Briefly.
good.
So I need to share my screen, I guess. Okay, what did I just do? I think I just hit something. Let's try this. Oh wait, I think it's this one. Is that working?
Yeah, looks like it.
Looks like
There
it.
you go.
There you go. Pro, right? Awesome. It's interesting because I don't see myself on here. It's just
You're there.
You look
I
good.
know I'm up there, but
You
I'm
can
not.
look over your shoulder if you want to.
See, I really like to look at myself.
Yeah. I'm there.
Yeah. I just got to verify I'm here. So anyway, thank you all for having me this morning. It is pretty cool to be back together again. That's kind of the theme these days. There's a lot of things that are getting restarted. We'll talk about that a little bit. And it just occurred to me when I was sitting here while you were doing Happy Bucks and stuff, there's actually a lot of chamber people here. You know, we have current board members here, Carmen. We have former board presidents of the chamber who are here. I think Todd and I think John Brewer, weren't you a board president?
Yeah.
Jim Jones was on the board for years and years, and when I got here, I kicked him off because then we got to have fresh turnover. I think Randy Johnson's, that's when Randy started. I know Rob Tulloch was on the board when I got here. In fact, you were on the hiring committee, so it's your fault that I'm here.
I take credit.
Yeah. And then Brian was recently on the board too, and I'm probably missing a lot of them. Laura, Laura. I mean, the whole room I think has probably been on the chamber board at some point, and it really reflects, I think, the kind of people that you all are. You care about the community, and that's why you're here this morning. And so it makes sense that you would have been on the chamber board, because chambers of commerce tend to care about the communities that they serve in. I thought I'd start out today with a. There we go. I thought so because we have some chamber veterans here. You all pretty much know what a chamber is. When before I came back to the peninsula here in 2014, I didn't really know what a chamber of commerce was that much. Very much. I mean, I knew a little bit, but I was never keyed in on what a chamber of commerce is or what it does. And so my first experience with the Chamber of Commerce really was pretty deep, because I got hired as the Falso Chamber of Commerce director in 2014. So, and that's where, and I was a member of the Rotary, Paulsville Rotary, which is a great Rotary club actually. And I've been telling Rob and Brian and others for a long time now that I hope to join this Rotary club. I'm just too busy. I'm just too dang busy, but I'm looking forward to it because I really enjoyed Friday morning Rotary in Ballsville. It just, for me, it marked the beginning of the weekend. And, they do great things down there in Ballsville as well. Just like you guys do here. So you know pretty much what chambers are. I mean, they do care about the community. This chamber was established in 1894. The very first one was established in France, and I think actually the first one in the United States was in Charleston, South Carolina, 1773, and I think one of the first chambers of commerce that was established in the United States after Charleston. So like in the top 10, I would say, was in Seattle. The Seattle Chamber of Commerce was one of the first, first 10 chambers established in the United States. And it took a little while, but we finally got out here to the peninsula. We got the Chamber of Commerce of Portland, and actually our official business name registered with the IRS and the state and everything is Chamber of Commerce of Port Angeles, Washington. Doing business as Port Angeles Chamber of Commerce. Anyway, so now that I've bored you completely, I usually start my presentation when I talk about the chamber. I talk about what underlies everything we do, right? And so we are guided by a 5-year strategic plan, which this year we're renewing because we did this back in 2015, 2016, and actually finished it at the end of 2016, and it started in 2017. So 2017 to 2022 is our 5-year plan that we're on, and it's been tremendously helpful for me and for our board and everybody that works with the chamber to really be guided by our strategic actions that we're accomplishing. And in that strategic plan, we have guiding principles, and these are, I'm not going to go through them. Just it's important to realize that we do pay attention to this. We do care about these principles. This is our current board of directors. We have a, as always, we have just an outstanding representation, I think, across our economy here. A lot of diversity in terms of industry, age, gender, experience. It's a lot of really great diversity. We have one full-time staff person, that's me. And I was really happy to update this slide by adding the number of part-time staff, because I just hired another part-time person, which I'll talk about in a little bit. When we had 2 part-time people, one was a bookkeeper, and the other is Leslie Robertson, who is our events manager. She's outstanding. And I just hired a third part-time person who's going to be our sort of our operations manager, program manager, managing some of our programs, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But more importantly is that we have hundreds and hundreds of volunteers that support the Chamber of Commerce. Besides these board members who are volunteers, we have hundreds of people that help us run the visitor center for Port Angeles, and there's about 35 to 40 of them. And then all the other activities that we do, we can't do them, frankly, without volunteers. Most importantly, the Winter Ice Village, which would not even be something you could dream about without all the hundreds of volunteers and hundreds of hours that go into making that happen. I've been called, well, I'll talk about the Winter Ice Village a little later. So this is a representation of our gross revenues over since I got here in 2016. Some of you may recall that. So I think the 2015 gross revenue was actually, I think it was around the $400,000 range, something like that. Jim and Todd may remember a little bit more because that was before I got here, but and even Rob. But so 20, and the reason for that is because the Chamber of Commerce used to be responsible for destination marketing for our area, and they got about $250,000 a year to perform that function. So, but in 2016, that was the first year that they did not have that contract, not get that revenue. And so there was a pretty substantial drop from 2015 to 2016 in that $250,000 roughly that wasn't getting anymore. The other thing that changed between 2015 and 2016, besides me coming on board and Russ retiring, is the focus of the chamber changed quite a bit. We started following the strategic plan, but also we weren't focused on destination marketing so much. We weren't following, hotel vacancies, and we're not involved in that business so much anymore. Managing the lodging tax funds was something that the chamber used to do. Now the city does it appropriately. But anyway, I'm just pointing that out because we went down, but then we started coming back up again. And there's something happened in 2020. Not sure if you remember, but that was the impact. You can kind of see how that impacted us. Everything shut down. And pretty much most of the stuff we do involves getting people together. It's a networking mission, really. And so when you take that away, you can see what happens to your gross revenues. By the way, if anybody has a question or a comment or just a heckle, go ahead and.
Oh, heckle.
Yeah. Heckling is acceptable. Right. So I don't know what's going on with the. Oh, there it is. Okay. So just to run down some of our focus areas, I'll start with the colored stuff on the right, just because it's probably catching your eye. So events are a big part of the chamber's gross revenues, actually. And we manage a lot of these events to cost. So a lot of our events we don't really make any money on. Some of them we do end up being kind of like fundraisers for us. So most of the events we do are really just community building. Some really good examples are like the 4th of July celebration. We spend a lot of money on the 4th of July, and we get a lot of money, but we basically wash. It washes. I mean that's my job, is to make sure we don't lose money, and so it's a wash, but it's definitely not a money maker for us. Fireworks are expensive, and actually this year we're gonna have bigger fireworks than I think we've ever had. So we're upping our game on the 4th of July fireworks, so I'm excited about that. But even like the Maritime Festival, the Winter Ice Village doesn't make much money. And I'll show you a little bit on that a little bit later, but most of the things we do aren't real money makers. The big money makers for us include Ride the Hurricane. That's an amazing source of income for the chamber because it doesn't have a lot of overhead, but there's a lot of cyclists from the Seattle area who love to come out here and do that hill climb to the top of Hurricane Ridge, and they don't mind shelling out $75 a head for the privilege. And when you multiply that times 800, and your overhead's not very high, it's a pretty good fundraiser for us. The reason why the colors are different there is because the red just didn't happen this year. It's not going to happen. The yellow is happening, but in a weird sort of way. So we're in the middle actually of the community awards presentations. We have one more this morning at 10 o'clock, and then we've completed that pretty much. But we're kind of doing a hybrid online because we couldn't do our normal January gala event for the gala. And the wedding expo that normally follows the next day didn't happen, and the pickleball didn't happen. But we also normally do a job fair in March and another one in October. The March one couldn't happen, but that's yellow because we're going to do that in May. We just basically postponed it, and then we'll do the one in October. So that's why that's yellow. Coming up pretty quickly here in about 3 weeks, in fact, exactly 3 weeks, we're doing Jazz in the Olympics, which is a festival that used to happen here. I think the last one was in 2010. And we're bringing in a hugely popular band internationally, really, called Big Bad Voodoo Daddy, so that we can get this festival started in a big way. So we're pretty excited about Jazz the Olympics coming back. Our intent at the chamber is to get this festival going, and then a couple of years down the road, we're gonna spin it off and let another organization, another nonprofit, run Jazz the Olympics. We kind of view that as our role is get things going and then let someone else take them on. And I'll stop going down the list here with Big Spring Spruce up, just because this club, you guys were very helpful with us last year in the first annual Big Spring Spruce up, and appreciate that. We're gonna do it again. And the intent for this is for it to become like a festival every first Saturday in May in downtown Port Angeles. We'll start out, it's about 3 hours of cleaning, sweeping, weeding, making our downtown beautiful. And then this year, we're hoping to start the festival atmosphere by following that 3 hour of work with lunch, food for everybody, and a concert, a musical, a band or something to kind of get that, make it a little bit more of a festival atmosphere. It's a celebration of opening up the downtown for the upcoming season. That's kind of what we're doing. So I'll go back to member services. As like I said, the chambers are really, the networking that we organize is really our bread and butter. It's our main mission. We basically are responsible for, getting the business community connected. That's kind of, I do it every day, all day. It's actually a lot of fun. I really enjoy making connections and putting people together with businesses and businesses, and people come with problems, and there's always a solution. Someone else has a solution out there in the community, and I'm better at my job the more that I can see those connections and put those people together. Quickly on our programs, LMAP 2026, you probably have heard of that. It was a study that we did and built a 5-year strategic action plan for all near the end of 2020 and through all of 2021. It's just now kicking off. We have a steering committee, and we have 4 teams that have formed around the 4 pillars of the action plan, and things are going to start really happening. Actually, the Big Spring Spruce up is kind of a part of that, but it's a focus on the future of the downtown, where we want the downtown to be, 5 years from now, 2026 or 2021. But by 2026, what do we want the downtown to be all about? And part of the reason for doing this is because the downtown's changing, and it's not going to be the same downtown as it was a couple of years ago. It's already different with the field arts events all built, and all the other investment going into downtown to the tune of about $130 million of private investment going into downtown. And so recognizing that that's a pretty big change, the first big change since probably the sluicing of the hogback, and so it's a lot happening. So we decided, and the city agreed, that we should get our hands around this and figure out where we want this to go, rather than just let it happen ad hoc, because it was going to happen ad hoc if somebody didn't do something like this. So we've got a great group of people running the steering committee. The chamber's role is really to push this along now. I mean, we did the study, we put together the plan. Now our role is to kind of continue to push this along. And eventually, in a year or two, according to the plan, a new entity is going to be established who's going to run it from there. But meanwhile, the chamber is the main administrator of LMAP. COIN is Cloud Opportunity Investment Network. We're building it now. It's really meant to get local people to give money in terms of loans to local entrepreneurs who are trying to start a business. That's what it's all about. And it's a classic chamber role of just putting people together and let them figure out where they're going to go from there. So our job is to put investors together with entrepreneurs, and it's kind of like an angel investing, but it's a little different in that even angel investors expect a pretty good ROI, but community investing is really more about supporting your community and still getting some ROI, but maybe you don't expect quite as much. So you can do better on Wall Street, but this is not about investing in Wall Street. This is about investing in Main Street, is what we say. So it's investing in Main Street, and so it's a SEC regulated program called Local Investment Networks, and it's based on fundamentally on the idea of friends and family providing loans to each other. So our job at the chamber and with Coin is to make friends of investors and entrepreneurs, because once that relationship is established as quote unquote friends, then according to SEC regulations, they can go ahead and provide a loan, a security to, you know, from the investor to the without that investor having to be registered as a investor, or, you know, they could just be a regular person from the community providing that loan. So there's it's an opportunity for people like, you know, the reason why this is important is because a lot of budding businesses who are trying to get established often need some capital to get going. Banks aren't going to give them a loan for $5,000 if that's all they need. You know, most banks, you have the minimum loan for a business is like $25,000. If you're not going to borrow $25,000 or more, they're basically not going to touch you. And it's not because they're mean; it's just because it makes really smart financial sense on the part of the banks. So, but that sort of shuts out the little entrepreneur that just needs $8,000 or wherever to buy the food truck and get that business going, or whatever it might be. So this enables folks like us who may have a spare $1,000 laying around, or $4,000, or wherever you might have that you're willing to loan to somebody to get their business started. So anyway, we're just getting going. We have a entrepreneur showcase. We have 8 of these entrepreneurs or more. I think we might have more than get there on May 21st. It's a Saturday. They're going to be presenting their business cases to any interested member of the community who might want to invest in them. How much time do I have, by the way?
1 minute.
You've got about another 2 minutes.
10? Really?
Yeah.
I'll speed through it. I can do that. Cruise ships are coming back in a couple weeks. That cruise ship that comes every Tuesday and Wednesday, they start up on the 12th of April. They go all the way through, and the chamber manages those excursions. We work very close with Blackball, who provides the transportation, but we do all the administering of the excursions. We also are running the Underground Heritage Tour now that Don Perry used to do, and then Bob Stepp and we lost Bob, so the chamber's doing it now. We have a giant tent that we're renting out and sometimes donating. and the last bullet there, the Downtown Activity Center, what that is that we're working on that parking lot where we have the Winter Ice Village. We are working on turning that into a year-round programmed activity center, or something like an ice rink or a roller skating rink, or electric go-karts, or a month of movies under the tent, or what all these other ideas that we're planning on doing year-round. And in July and August, the programming will be parking for the Blackball, because that's what's needed most in the downtown. So that's kind of a rundown of what we're doing. I thought you guys would be interested in knowing how the Winter Ice Village did this last season. We did okay. We made a little bit of money on it, and we didn't use any lodging tax funds this for the first time. This is our 4th season. Our first 3 seasons, we got $35,000 each from either the county or the city, and this year we got none. We didn't ask because we're trying to do this without the help of lodging tax dollars. But it's just kind of fun to realize that we made 5,156 cups of hot chocolate and thousands and thousands of smiles, 745 volunteer shifts, 179 volunteers. And again, we don't make our job is to not lose money, which we did in the spring, by the way, last year. This time last year, we had the ice rink going. We lost about $8,000 last year, just because people were really interested in skating. Yes.
Mark, what I wanted to add was what is so impressive to me is what I call the collateral damage. But it's not damage, it's good things that flow out of all these events. And even if it is putting money in the pockets of some musicians, I know some people that are going to be playing on the ship
Yes.
as it goes around. So it definitely, not just a trickle down, it's a waterfall. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, it's great. The cruise ships are great. So these are the priorities that we started the year with. My board president is Danya Allward, and these are her priorities for the year. The first of which was hire staff. That part-time person I was mentioning at the beginning. That would check mark by that one. We've completed that one. Launch Elevate PA 2026. I can't really say we're done launching it yet, but we're pretty close to saying we've done the launch. So that's going along, and we'll be updating the 5-year strategic plan, the Chamber's plan later this year, and doing a lot to support business recovery, including getting everybody back together again. And our first event like that is going to be bringing back the Chamber luncheons in person, which is going to happen April 13th. And that's, we always do it on the second Wednesday of the month. And the program is going to be the annual State of the City address by Nathan West. So that's one you want to, it'll be a good one. But just speaking of what's going on, I don't have many more slides, so I think our timing's about right. So this kind of shows you sort of what we do throughout the year and where things sit. We're probably going to add, I actually don't have the April 13th Chamber election on there. I should update the slide because we did decide to go in April. We were going to start in May. And then the other thing is the after hours. I have them starting in I think September, but we're probably going to start those earlier than September. So we'll start those after hour meetings back up to the. So we're getting excited about that. And as you probably know, we published the business directory. This is the one that's coming out. It's actually out right now, but we haven't distributed it yet. But it's available. So if anybody wants a copy or needs copies, let me know and we'll give it to you. And that's all I had. So Laura.
Some of my clients have been concerned in a good way about the level of tourism business coming this summer, and I was like in terms of being swamped. And so I was wondering if you had any thoughts or projections about what to expect this summer.
We're seeing another record being broken. Last year was a record-breaking summer tour season. All the lodging tax fund managers saw more money than they've ever seen before. We're just breaking records. I think this year is going to be even busier. The reason I say that is because I've talked to hoteliers as well as a lot of Airbnb owners, and they're booked through the summer. It's already so it's going to be busy here. And overtourism is a factor. It's something to be concerned about. Overtourism, that's where you get so many tourists that nobody has a good experience, including the providers, the people that are there. Some good examples of overtourism are like Moab, Utah. You've probably heard of Moab because it's Moab, Utah. Whoever heard of Moab, Utah until, I don't know, 10 years ago or something. And they just really did a great job of destination marketing Moab, and they did too good of a job. And now it's like Moab is like overridden. They can't hardly handle all the people. And the former mayor of Moab, I read an article. He's bemoaning the fact that they were so successful in their promotion plans because now it's just a mess, basically. So anyway, we're concerned about that, and our focus really is growing the economy in the winter time or in the shoulders here. And we try to not do anything to promote more activities in July and August. Whatever's there now, fine, keep it. But we're not adding anything. We're trying to, so the Winter Ice Village actually originally was meant to be the start of that building the winter economy thing, especially to get people to come downtown in the winter. And then it became just an important community event, just for the communities. But so it's both. But it's also becoming like an anchor for the winter economy. And there's a lot of things in the works to grow around the Winter Ice Village and in the downtown and elsewhere in the holiday season. So yeah, we're working on things in the shoulder months and stuff like that, but not much because we don't need anything more in the summer. It's too crazy here. Yeah. Other questions? Comments? Yes.
When is the jazz festival again? And are there plans to coordinate, cooperate with Wanda FIFA in terms of those types of events?
So the Jazz Olympics is April 22nd and 23rd. And so we have great acts that are going to be on Friday night, the 22nd at the Elks and at Seven Cedars. And then Saturday night is just Seven Cedars. And that's when Big Bad Booty Day is. But yeah, Friday night we got Jeff Cashua and Levon Hardison at the two different venues, plus others, Stardust Big Band and Swim and others. So that's gonna be great. We do work pretty closely with Wanda Fuca. You know, the chamber used to run concerts on the pier in the summer. We've handed that off to Wanda Fuca Foundation for the Arts because it's more like in their wheelhouse than it is in ours. And so they're happily doing that. They are involved a little bit in the planning for Jazz and Olympics, just because we know that the chamber's not going to be organizing this down the road. We don't know who it's going to be. Could be Wanda Fuca Foundation, or it could be a new nonprofit that just exists for the Jazz Festival. I don't know yet.
So Wanda FIFA is interested in our club doing burgers, yeah. So that's out there.
Yeah. Doing what? Very well.
We did burgers last year for the Wanda FIFA.
Store there and stuff like that. So these are going to be rough for a little bit as far as being able to do the ticket, getting your lottery tickets and stuff here and stuff. But we'll get back to it eventually. But just bear with us, and we'll try these for a while. Like I said, we're still looking for a home, so we'll play it by ear.